Yesterday, the Albanese government announced its commitment to vehicle emission standards. A key plank of the EV policy would see penalties imposed on car makers who don't meet targets as a way of incentivising the purchase of EVs. Now, today, for the first time, electric vehicle sales have overtaken the sale of medium-sized petrol cars over the first 3 months of this year. Let's bring in John Grimes, Chief Executive of the Smart Energy Council. John, what do you make about this development, the confirmation that at least in the medium-sized category, that shift has well and truly shown up in these numbers?
Well, Kieran, I was really surprised to see these figures, very pleasantly surprised. This is big news. You know, that sector, electric vehicles winning for the first time in a quarter. The problem in Australia has never been a question of demand. I don't know anybody who wouldn't like their next car to be an EV. The question has really been one of supply. Actually, last year, 30,000 people registered their interest to buy a Hyundai Ioniq 5, so electric vehicle car. 30,000 people registered, 700 were delivered by the company. So as I say, there's a huge pent-up demand in Australia where people want to make the transition, but there hasn't been the supply in hand. So what these figures show is that the market is actually structurally readjusting to that. So the first thing was through COVID, we had a big disruption to the batteries. So batteries there weren't enough available for the global demand. We also had a disruption in the supply chain for shipping vehicles as well. The other thing that's happened is the big established car makers have not moved quickly enough, and they haven't moved because there hasn't been strong policy here to drive them to bring in these vehicles to the Australian market. And so what we're seeing is new entrants into the market. Now, Tesla's always been big, but companies like BYD, a Chinese company invested in by Warren Buffett, bringing in vehicles in very large numbers now. So those incumbents that are not moving are having their lunch eaten by these new entrants. They're losing market share. And this is a really fantastic dynamic. It means that in time, those vehicles will become second-hand vehicles. So we have more EVs in the second-hand market. But I think, Kieran, this is kind of a historic moment. As you said, it's a watershed and a big shift.
It is. Cost of living pressure is probably driving a big chunk of it as well. Once you have one, you're not dependent then upon the petrol price at the bows of that. And I think that would be part of the thinking, not just trying to be environmentally friendly here, John.
Absolutely right. So, you know, we know that if you were to bring in even an internal combustion engine, a petrol car to Australia today, if that car is built to EU standards in terms of fuel efficiency, the average motorist will save $500 a year. That's a lot of money, Kieran, right, for the family budget. So we're not just talking about electric vehicles, but actually all vehicle classes. And that's why it's so important that we get fuel efficiency standards as law in this country. The problem is that the federal government is still kicking this can down the road. They need to actually bring strong standards into law. The other thing, Kieran, we need to do is think about not just middle-sized passenger cars. We need to think about things like utes. And the good news is there are electric utes available globally, and they're starting to come into the country. And at the low end, actually, I took a delegation, about 30 companies, to see an electric, so like Vespers, like those little ride-on scooters, a factory in India that is producing one of these scooters every minute, and by the end of the year, we'll be producing one every 2 seconds. Now, they're just crazy and fun to drive, have a range of about 170 kilometres, a top speed about 100 kilometres an hour, and the retail price on road, $2,500. So that's what we need. We need a suite of solutions for everybody, not just for rich people in sedans.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's coming. Smart Energy Council Chief John Grimes, thanks. Talk to you soon. Appreciate it.